welcome to Should I Buy This Game? Featuring Spectacular. My name is Christine, and in this video I'll give you an overview of how the game is played, and then share a few things we may like or dislike about the game to help you decide if you want to add Spectacular to your collection. This is the game Spectacular. And in this game we are going to be building up our wildlife park. Now we have two different types of tiles. We have these ones which are called watchtower tiles, because if you get three of this, in this case the black, then you can put a watchtower onto your tiles. And then we have breeding tiles. And the breeding tiles are actually the tiles that help score us points at the end of the game, because within a colored habitat, you would score the numbers on your dice times the number of breeding tiles there are. So if you don't have any breeding tiles with dice on them, you don't get any points at the end of the game. Now, there's special rules with the dice. So with the breeding, you can only put 1 or 2 on it. This is our special tile that's just on our board, and that one will take a 6. And the watchtowers, you can put 1 through 5. Once that watchtower is in place, though, then you can put a 6 on, but not until you have completed your 3 tiles and added your watchtower. So we have our personal items on the side here, and then we have our shared items on this board. And after each turn, we're going to rotate these with the other players, and we're drafting off boards. So depending on, you take what you want, and then the next person takes what they want. So it will change because depending on what the other players want in the game. So to start though, you put out these, it's numbered 1, 2, 3, and it shows you if there's a watchtower how to place it, and you roll your dice. And so after you do it once, you have the option of re-rolling some dice. Now you'll notice here I have a lot of 6s, and I only at this point need 1 6, because until those watchtowers come, I can't really use a 6. So I'm going to re-roll. I'm going to keep the blue, but I'm going to re-roll these 3 in hopes I get something else. Great. So now that I have a 1 there, it will help me with the breeding, and then I have another 4. And by knowing what you have here will help make your decision here, because if I'm wanting that breeding die, I don't have it in my personal collection, but there's ones here that I could add onto the board. The other thing we have is down here, we have little tokens you can use once per game, and this helps you change the number of a die by 1, and once you use it, you just turn it over. The game is played over 2 rounds, and you take multiple turns. There's 8 turns in first round and 7 turns in the second round. And on your turn, you are picking, as I said, one of your personal items, putting it here, one of the shared items, putting it here, and then placing it in the board. And each player is doing this at the exact same time. So the game goes fairly quick. So if I was looking at this here, I might be like, I want that blue 1 since I don't have it. So I might take this die, and then from my personal, I might take the 6. Do I want to? I can leave the 6 for now. Maybe I want to try and connect the pieces, because you are allowed to put pieces anywhere you want, but during the first round, whatever is connected with dice from the entrance, you will be scoring the points. So you want to try and connect some of those pieces to score the points. Now here I'm looking for black watchtowers, and on none of those are appearing, and here is white. So I'm keeping that in the back of my mind. I'm also keeping in mind the breeder. So maybe what I will do is I will place this from my personal. So then once I've made my choice, I know I'm putting that there, and I think I will put this one here. And that way I can connect it and try to score points. So after I'm done, I would refresh my own area. However, this does not get refreshed with anything, and it gets passed and a new one gets given to me. So I'm going to just remove a piece as if they took that off. So maybe it comes to me, they used a piece, and so I'm trying to decide. So now I'm like, okay, I do have the 1 die for that breeder, so maybe I don't need this so much. but I could maybe use the white green to try and form that tower. So maybe I would take this one, and then on the other side, maybe now's a good time, just I know I want to get that 6 out there. So then I would place my 6 here, and I would place this here. So I've started to build up my watchtower. So it comes back. You're starting to get the idea here. I could use this one. I could use a blue. This one right now doesn't do much for me, where I could get this breeder tile. So maybe I want to add this breeder tile. Oh, so I put it here. And then in my personal area, maybe I will do the one to add to that. So then I would put this here, and maybe I would put this here. And so you get the idea. We're going back and forth and choosing tiles and dice to place into our area. So I'll just sort of finish off the round and then show you how it scores. So after the first round in my 8 turns, this is how my board ended up. I managed to connect those 3 there to get a watchtower. So going forward, I can now put a 6 here if it comes up. And then I managed to connect all my dice. I did use my gray thing to change this to a 2, so I'd be able to include it. So when you add it up, I have 8, 12, 17, 19, 23 points for the end of round 1 based on what's connected through the entry. So then you want to refresh your boards. So you get all the boards. You roll the dice again, some new dice. And so we have a 6 and a 1, 1 and 2, 3 and 1, and a 3 and a 3. And then you would put out new pieces from the pile. Now every single player has a board that gets put around, and every player has their own play area. They're doing the exact same thing. Now, if we look down here before we get started, I do have one breeding tile in my gray area, so I know I will be able to score that. I did get one for the green and one for the blue. I currently do not have one for the yellow, so looking here, I might be going after that yellow piece and maybe a die, hopefully, to go with it. I still do have the option of my changing the die number. So just keeping an eye on what I want. I also need one of the black, but there's a lot of the black to finish that watchtower. So I should be able to get that one as well. So you're just sort of eyeing what you need when the game starts. So if this is my starting area here, I might take the 6. Because of my watchtower, I can place that 6. So I might want to grab that 6. And then from this side, I want to be careful how many blue I put out, because I do have a lot of blue and not a lot of dice. The yellows, until I get a breeder, I don't really want to be using that yet. So maybe I'll just do this. And so then I place my 6 here and my 3 there. And then this gets changed. So as I mentioned, I had my eye on this one here, so I think I'm going to grab that one now so I can try and get that out. And then maybe I will put a 4 out. So then I can put, say, this here and that 4. So when it comes back, I was lucky that one die is still there. So I know I want that 1, so I can score this. But maybe I'm going to put this one out as well, because if I can get a second breeding tile, I'll be able to score twice. So then I put that one there. So now I know there's only 3s, and I have this tile still that I can use. And so I think what I'm going to do is do that and change this to a 2 because I really want to get that breeder down. And then I think I'll put my 4 to get that out. So I can put the 2 there and the 4 there. And I'm going to just continue doing this until I've taken my last couple turns. So by the end of the game, your board will look something like this. I managed to get that second watchtower there in the black. And then it's time to score, and you're scoring by habitats. So when we look at this green habitat here, I have 1 of the breeders. So I have 6, 12, 16, 17, and because I have 1, it's times 1, so I would get 17 points. Here is similar, I have 1, so it's 6, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, with 1 breeder is 16 points. Here's yellow. Even though it's connected to a breeder, I did not get a die on there, so that one does not count. This one here, though, I have 2 breeders, so it's 5, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, but because I have 2, I get 26 points. And this yellow up here has 1, so it's 4, 8, 9, 9 points. Now, when it comes to the watchtowers, if you have dice on all 3, then you get to score. And so I have 6, 12, 16. That one would be worth 16 points. And this one here is 9, 10, 11, 12 points. Then the other thing is based on the number of animals you have. So if you look in your different areas, you'll see the different animals. So here I have 1, 2, 3, 4. Here I have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 different animals. So down here I would score 40 points. And then you just add up your points, and whoever has the biggest score wins. Once you're familiar with the game, you can add missions, and you would pick an A, B, and a C mission. And it's things such as having 5 tiles surrounding a panda, having in one of the color of dice, either 1, 2, 3, 4 or 2, 3, 4, 5, or having all your dice equal to or more than 12. And this one's very hard. You can usually get it with 3, but getting that 4th set of dice equaling to 12 is really hard. I think actually on this board, if I add this one up, I finally did it. That's 12, and then that equals 12. So I think finally all the dice there are more than 12, but it's very hard to do, especially if you have a lot of breeders with the lower numbered dice. But these will add more challenges once you're familiar with the game. There is a solo mode to the game, and you set up these areas with 8 dice and 8 tokens, and they're on the back of those boards we were using earlier. And so when it's your turn, you decide, say you want a dice, and you take a dice off. Then when it is the solo turn, they turn it over, and from the area you're not using, a piece gets removed from that spot. So this one would be removed. And then it would go again. So say this time you want to get a piece, say you take this and you take this piece and add it in. I would flip this over, and then the corresponding die would be removed. So wherever you're not working, that is where you're removing a piece. And that is basically how the solo mode is played. It doesn't get scored. It's just removing pieces, and you're filling in your area as usual. So overall, I enjoyed playing Spectacular. I played it solo as well as with Gemma. And because you're playing independently, I see this game as one maybe I will play more solo than with people, because other than drafting from the tiles, there's not a lot of interaction between players. I like the strategy, though, of knowing when to place a tile, when to place a die, trying to get the balance of that, being able to try to get the right dies. And the thing I'm finding with this game is learning how many breeding tiles you can get into the game, because that is how you really score the points. Without that, you're just scoring once, and with getting like 2. I have never had yet 3 breeding tiles for one habitat. I've only gotten up to 2, but you can really, by doubling your points, that's how you can score a lot more. Now, when you play solo, they recommend you here having, say, 200 points, you win, but you can do better, which makes me think I have a lot more learning of this game because my highest score so far has been 166. Now, when you play solo, you do play with objectives. It's part of it, but even then, I've been able to score 2 of the objectives, not all 3. So there is challenges to the games. Now, even though you count your animals, that's one thing I never really look at when I'm choosing my tiles. I'm looking at more breeding versus the towers to get those towers in. The most towers, Gemma got 3 towers in her game. However, even with 3 towers, she had a lower score because therefore she didn't have the breeding tiles. So that's the other balance you're trying to figure out in this game is breeding tiles versus the towers, because you do score again if all 3 areas are have dice on them. When I played once, I was missing a die, so I ended up not scoring a tower. So there's those things to keep in mind as well. And because it's always based on what you're rolling, you've no idea how the game is going to play out. I typically do try to keep all my colored habitats together. The only reason in this game I put this one here was because I wanted that black for the tower. But usually when I play, I try to keep my habitats all grouped together so I can score them as one big habitat. Now the only other thing, oh right, the big thing, I'm just going to grab another one, is this player board. You know me, like this player board, please, this should be, in my opinion, a dual layer player board where you have an area where you are growing out your pieces, you have an area where your dice is stored, you have an area where pieces are stored, you have an area where your objectives are scored. A nice dual layer player board to hold all your pieces in place would really be appreciated. I've said it on other games. I don't know if this is a new norm, these little flimsy player boards, but I personally really do not like these player boards. Please, 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 you've spent money on these boards and made them chipboard. At least make this a nice flat chipboard, but ideally, with everything going on in this, in my opinion, this should be a dual layer player board. So I really dislike these player boards. And the other thing I don't quite understand is the name of the game. Maybe you can tell me what the meaning of spectacular is, but I'm not exactly sure about the meaning of the name of the game and how that relates to the game. But in terms of gameplay itself, I enjoyed the strategy behind it. So let me know if you have played Spectacular and what you think of this game.